Hi, this is Michael Yardney and welcome to my regular property market update. Around this time every year I enjoy reading the BRW Rich 200 list to see how the wealthy are faring. And if you're to believe the commentary in the magazine this year, the rich are getting poorer. So in this market update I'd like to examine this more closely and see what lessons we can learn from Australia's wealthiest business people, entrepreneurs and investors. Plus I'll give you some hints on how you can get into the Rich 200 list yourself. Firstly, while the global financial crisis has meant that many of the rich have become less rich, it's really a bit of a stretch to say they're becoming poorer. Those who've grown their wealth through property have done comparatively much better than most, and in fact many have substantially increased their wealth over the last year. Examining the Rich 200 list, we can see that more of Australia's wealthiest people have made their money in property than through any other means. And interestingly, many of those who initially made their money in other businesses still invested the bulk of their money in property. Okay, let's cut to the chase. Are there any shortcuts for you to get into the Rich 200 list? And the answer is yes. Here they are. Number one, choose your parents very carefully. Many of the people in the rich list are there because of the wealth accumulated by their parents. And if you don't have wealthy parents, let's move on to number two. Number two, marry somebody who's already wealthy. And then of course the trick is you've got to stay married. Or number three, understand the magic of compounding. One lesson to take from the millionaires and billionaires who've used property to accumulate their wealth is that most are long-term investors. They buy well-located assets and add value through their developments, and then they use the power of leverage and compounding to grow their asset base. They don't try and trade, they don't speculate their way to wealth. Or trick number four to get into the Rich 200 list is to invest counter-cyclically. Many of those who become very wealthy in Australia, and around the world for that matter, are at times considered a bit crazy because they don't invest when everyone else is investing. And more importantly, they invest counter-cyclically when everyone else is saying it's the wrong thing to do. Interestingly, many of them are out buying assets now. They're back buying undervalued shares and good, well-located properties. We can learn a lot from Australia's richest people. So let's quickly look at some of the common traits of people in the Rich 200 list in the BRW. Firstly, when they have made their millions, they don't go off and spend their money. They tend to reinvest their money in the areas of their expertise. Number two, while many of the Rich 200 took big risks early on in their investment careers, once their wealth was established, they stopped taking risks and they preserved their wealth. Interestingly, others who kept on speculating or taking risks lost a significant portion of their wealth. Continuing on with the traits of the wealthy people, in general the wealthy don't diversify. When they have a good idea, they stick to it and they repeat it, and they specialise in one business or one investment niche. They tend to invest in growth assets more than cash flow assets, and they're really good at picking trends or cycles. They know when not to invest, they hold back near the peak of the booms, and they also understand the power of investing counter-cyclically when properties or shares are on sale. The wealthy also recognise there's no such thing as a self-made millionaire, and they've attracted a team of good people and trusted advisors around them. And one of the last traits I'd like to suggest is that they're confident and they do it. One of the major lessons I believe you should heed is that counter-cyclical investing works well, buying at or near the bottom, buying when people are saying you're mad to buy. But of course you don't just buy anything, far from it. You need to buy extremely selectively, based on clear-sighted analysis. You'll need to have the ability to see beyond the fads and fashions. You'll need to analyse and model long-term potential and probability. You'll need the insight to see the intrinsic value of assets and then act accordingly. I believe that now the window of opportunity is open, and more importantly, it's not going to be open for a great deal longer. Why do I say this? Well, things are panning out in a fairly predictable way. The economy is going to recover. Interest rates will increase and inflation is expected to return due to our government borrowing money and pumping it into the system. The net effect of this is investors who park their money in the safety of bank deposits will start looking for a new home for their fund. You're going to find a safe haven which is a hedge against inflation, and many will turn to residential property, and that's when the property market's going to take off. So the opportunity is now. The challenge is to get in before the property markets start booming, getting in now when everyone else is nervous. Now, don't pretend it's easy. To do this, the keys are to have a long-term focus and buy well-located properties with an element of scarcity. Buying properties in areas that have outperformed in the long term and properties to which you can add value. By the way, in changing times like we're experiencing, no one will help you through this maze quite like the multi-award winning team of independent property strategists at Metropole. And remember, we help homeowners too, not just property investors. While we have no properties to sell, we have access to every property on the market. If you want to find out a bit more about what's happening in your local market and what our research is suggesting is going to happen, please join us at one of our briefings at our offices in Melbourne, Sydney or Brisbane. Just click on the link below to find out more and reserve your place. And if you haven't purchased your own copy of my new book yet, Thriving Not Just Surviving in Changing Times, please click the link below to find out more about it. Maybe you could be in the BRW Rich 200 list from The Secrets and That.